Hello everyone, welcome along to the latest edition of The Verdict. I'm standing in for Angus McNair, who's taken some well-deserved, long overdue time off. So we're going to have a look back at chiefly the week that was, a select number of performances from the Qatar Goodwood Festival of 2024. But I am also going to steer you in the direction of a couple of Godolphin Blue Bloods who both made it 2 from 2 for their career at Newmarket over the weekend, Friday and Saturday, more on which in a moment or two's time. But we are going to begin with Goodwood and go back to Wednesday. The mercury was scorching, the times were quick, the ground was quick. We had a number of record-breaking performances on the day. These are the time index scores as per Race IQ's data for Wednesday the 31st. 9:09. Race 4, that was notable speech in the Group 1 Sussex Stakes for many of the races of the week. 9:09 also, well, that was for the 2-year-old fillies in their Alice Keppel, and that was a really good performance, the first that we're going to have a look at this week, by the favourite, 2-to-1 shot, but on the drift, Coto De Caza. This the 4:45 last Wednesday, Ziggy's Ariel, 11-2, Lucky Gift, 15-2. But Coto De Caza is where we begin. Let's have a look at the race that was that 4:45 at Wednesday, or on Wednesday. First thing to note, our winner, who you're going to see breaking from stall number 3. Well, she got herself very warm on the way down. She had special dispensation. Just look how much she is free sweating. She's got a bit of a bump as well from the filly to her outside. That can't have helped things. But despite the fact that she's rather overdone it and boiled herself over on the way down to the start, yes, the stewards let her go down early and she's received a bump. It hasn't stopped her winning, and winning in a very good time indeed. It's just a whisker of what Big Mojo achieved earlier in the day in the Molecombe, the group race for the 2-year-olds over track and trip earlier in the day. It's an excellent performance on the clock as well, and she's just electric. We're going to see her through the last couple of furlongs where she was, what, 22.5 seconds, 22.43 through the final 2 furlongs. She, along with the third, who I think's run a really good race, Blue Zodiac, they're the only 2 to hit a finishing speed percentage of 100%, just a whisker over it. Honestly, truly run race, and you've got a very fast, very talented 2-year-old filly on your hands. She cost 270 grand, mind, so she was bought to be good. The win time is a very good one. The recent history of this race tells you it goes to good fillies. Last year, Flora of Bermuda, 2 years ago, and what I'm kind of hoping is that we might have another Platinum Queen on our hands. She was electric winning this 2 years ago. She broke records, I think, that day before going on to win a Group 1 at the end of her 2-year-old year. It's a long way for Coto De Caza to go to achieve that. She's got to learn to race that much more economically. The whole experience, that is, from the parade ring through to the racing scenario as well. But I think if she learns to do that, she's very, very good indeed. She's fast. The sectionals tell us that. The finishing speed percentage she clocked up was very good indeed. And it might just be that something like the Flying Childers could be on the next port of call for her. It sounds as though Simon and Ed Crisford, the joint trainers, want to give her that little bit of time between her races. So early August, or late July as it was, 31st of July at Goodwood, the 3rd run of her career, swapped the ground from soft ground at Beverley to quick ground at Goodwood. It hasn't stopped her, but she does need to just relax a little bit. Let's hear from one of her winning trainers.
She's just a little bit flighty and she was getting very worked up, so I asked the stewards if we could go down early. To be honest with you, I thought she had sort of run her race by the time she got to the start. I was very worried. Right. But she's a good filly. Yeah. She's got a lot of talent, a lot of class.
Has she been like that before, or not that bad?
You know, she hasn't been that bad. Okay. But you know, when she won at Beverley, it was a quiet day and saddled in the stables, and it's a festival meeting here. A lot of people. It's very hot as well. So yeah, a few of them were getting warm, but she was just particularly getting worked up. But look, she did it well in the end.
OK, that was Ed Crisford. There she is, over my shoulder, coming back into the sun-kissed winners' enclosure at Goodwood. I doubt it's going to be the last time we see this filly in the winners' enclosure. Next time, I'm hoping it's going to be at group level. She has gone through that race very fast indeed. The clock backs that up in a properly run race. I think she's a real talent. Coto De Caza, remember the name. The next race I want to have a look at, race 2 here on The Verdict this week. Well, it's actually again from Goodwood, but this time a day later. But, like Coto De Caza, another 2-year-old filly, this one will stay a little bit further. Of that, you can have no doubt. Let's have a look at the times The time index, as per Race IQ, at Goodwood on Thursday. The feature race, of course, being the Nassau Stakes. Now, the race that we're going to have a look at is race 7 furlongs, 2-year-olds, 2-year-old fillies. It came in as the worst, the lowest recorded time index on the day, but I'm not worried about that remotely. Dreamy was the winner of it. She drifted 7-4, 5-2, almost joined at the top of the market by Tundra Rose, who ran a very good race. The first two, I think, in the betting in this particular race are extremely talented fillies to go forward with, but we're going to concentrate mainly on the winner, and that is Dreamy for Aidan O'Brien and for Ryan Moore. She's going to emerge from stall 10, as you can see. Bouvier for Dr. Richard Newland, Jamie Insole, Kira Schumacher out of 1, and Tundra Rose, keep an eye on her as well. David O'Mara, Danny Tudhope out of 12, 2 wider. Then our quick breaking winner. There is Dreamy, widest to the right, as you can see it. Ryan Moore just looking across to see exactly where he can get in. Bouvier in the end, once raced, collared late. I think she adds a little bit of context to this piece of form because we are dealing with, largely, the unknown, the unraced. Ballydoyle won this race in 2016 with Rhododendron. She turned out to be a top draw international filly. They'll be hoping Dreamy can follow suit. But what a wonderful start to life on the track this has been. Let's go through the times that were clocked up. Well, the par time of 101.95. It's fair to say that they've had to come home with a real rattle in this race because it's been quite slowly run, and in the end it's been a finishing speed percentage of 106.42, so well above the par FSP, if you will. The third, actually, Tundra Rose, spot her widest to the right. She's worth putting in your racing TV trackers because she's come home in a very good finishing speed percentage as well. She was very well backed. But have a look at Dreamy as Ryan Moore gets after her in the Flaxman Holdings colours, the Narcos colours. He's got the prior raced Bouvier to run down. He's managed to do that and collar her late. And this is where the visuals will tell you she's closed really well. Look, the 7th furlong of just under 12 seconds, 11.92. If you go on the par sectionals, and we colour code them, well, she's gone into the very fast category to go and do what she's done, and I think she's won a little bit cosily in the end as well. There are no big entries for her, but in a race that was slow enough run, it didn't achieve much on the clock by way of the Racing TV or the Race IQ time index. I think she's managed to quicken against the grain and show the quality that she's got. She's doing this over 7 furlongs, and I would imagine this is just the starting point. It could be that she's in a group race over a mile potentially by the end of the year. You look at her pedigree. Well, she's by American Pharoah, the US Triple Crown winner, and her dam 10 years ago to this month, actually, spoilt Tagruda's party by winning the Yorkshire Oaks down in Tagruda, her dam being Tapestry. So she is bred in the purple. She'll race for Ballydoyle, and she looks every inch a classic prospect for last year. Slow enough run race, didn't achieve much on the clock, but in her isolation, the way that Dreamy has finished her race was very, very taking to me. And to me, she looks potentially a top-class prospect. We can hear now from one of her winning owners.
Ryan was very happy with her. Obviously, first time out, as they all were, it's a learning curve, and he thought that she could be a little bit special, could be an Oaks filly for the future, and obviously very happy.
Said it all. Michael Tabor could be a bit special. Could be an Oaks filly for the future. Keep in mind what she could go and achieve. Dreamy, unlike so many of her compatriots, of her contemporaries, hasn't got any big entries at this stage, but they've brought her across to Goodwood, and on quick ground, she's managed to accelerate at the end of her race to go and make it 1 from 1. Clearly there was expectation by way of the market, but still, I would rate that a very good debut as well. And when she's in a truly run race, you're going to see the very best of her. She'll stay further. Keep in mind Tundra Rose, the third. She's gone very much into my tracker. But I think even though it wasn't a quick time, it was never likely to be, given the early stages of their career we were going with these 2-year-old fillies. I think the first and in particular the third as well, Dreamy and Tundra Rose, rate as 2 to follow from that race at Goodwood on Thursday. Moving on to Friday at the Qatar Goodwood Festival, the feature race of the day was the Qatar King George. It was run over the 5 furlongs, so 1,000 metres, richly built up, given the coverage going into the race, the likes of Asphora up against Big Evs again. Let's see what it looked like as per the time index and put into context against the other races on the day. Well, earlier on, there was one that clocked up bigger at 8.76. over the mile. That was Lead Artist running an excellent race earlier in the day. But it's coming at 6.06, so sort of midway as regards the overall time indexes clocked up on the day on Friday at Goodwood as per Race IQ. Right, let's have a look at the betting. And Big Evs, 13-8, the market concentrated around him. Asfoora, 11-4, Believing, 7-1. The market has got this spot on and class has come to the fore. Now, for me, this was the race of the week. I'm sure plenty of people will have their own opinions, but I think for the reasons I'm about to explain, this was the one. Big Evs winning it out of stall 7. There you go, just have a look at that gate speed, ridiculous speed. He is the fastest out, 2.27, jump and run. And as the trigger went, off he goes, Big Evs. Big Evs has come out of 7, Asfoora out of 10, and Believing out of 11. This is blink and you miss it stuff. These are your 1, 2, 3. Very good fillies in behind him. But Big Evs, back to the scene of his Molecombe success from the time before. I think Tom Marquand, Big Evs, Mick Appleby, the team combined, deserve plenty of credit. Now, in the early stages, an overall time of 56.62, but in the early stages, it's been a case that Big Evs has run just about every point of this race as efficiently as you'd want to see him, certainly to my mind. He has split Pontos and Living the Dream, the speed merchants, in the first couple of furlongs. They've in the end been burnt off for all Living the Dreams run a good race. He's been able to do that, and then as the race increases and those from in behind, look at Believing, etc., look at the way they've had to vie to make up a bit of ground. He's still managed to keep in there, still managed to be in position A, and actually, if you look a couple of furlongs from home, well, he's still clocked really good figures, 10.06, 10.85, and through the last, he's second in time, or third in time, to only Believing and Asfoora. So it's just been the most efficiently run race for him all the way through. That's why he's had a finishing speed percentage of 99.41. He's coming at just under 100%. Tom Marquand has judged it to a nicety. Further back, his big rivals. Have a look at Asfoora. She was giving him weight this day. That will change by York. And Believing, they've had to come from further back. A little bump there for Asfoora didn't help her. And in fact, Henry Dwyer, trainer of Asfoora, has said they went too quick for her early. Big Evs has controlled his own destiny, whereas we were stuck behind a couple. And that has been the defining swing from Ascot, from the different track, the different ratings on the day, the different weights on the day, as to why Big Evs has swung it with Asfoora. And in fact, if they are to meet again, which hopefully they will do, because it should leave us racing fans salivating for the Nunthorpe, £6 swing towards Asfoora. Will that change things? Gets you thinking, doesn't it? Excellent ride it was on Big Evs from Tom Marquand, who we can hear now from.
It kind of felt like there was two waves of the race almost. Obviously, Pontos, having ridden against him before, I know how fast out the blocks he can be. And look, he didn't miss a beat for that first furlong. And look, I was sort of very much in the mind of what we all were, is riding him for him. And he's got a lot of speed, but he's probably not quite as sharp out as Pontos would be. But that sort of 3-2 was sort of almost when our wave started, and just carried on that slingshot. And to be honest, even when the mare challenged, he didn't feel like they were ever going to get by. He just kept extending his head out, and as we sort of said at Ascot and hoped, this track just turned the tables for him, and he's just got so much natural speed it suits him down to the ground.
We are going to be building up Ding Ding round 3, given the fact that Asfoora won the King Charles III at Royal Ascot. Different day, different track, and it was over to Big Evs to reverse that form. Believing, by the way, she's run a cracker in third, but reverse that form with Asfoora at Goodwood. £6 swing then. Does that put the pendulum in the direction of Asfoora? Well, personally, my take is no. I think Big Evs will beat her again. But the fact that Henry Dwyer has bought her here with this really enterprising programme, he's talking about all the big race Group 1 targets, be it the Prix de l'Abbé, be it thinking about going even further abroad for the end of the year with that mare. I think he deserves a lot of credit, and he's bought a rattling good one here. So Big Evs versus Asfoora, that's the narrative. Believing she can continue making hay. I'm sure they're going to be looking at the Flying Five as part of Irish Champions Weekend. You can see that live on Racing TV midway through September. But before then, we're going to get round 3 between Big Evs and Asfoora after what was a cracking running of the King George. I'm a Big Evs fan, but I'm sure plenty of people will disagree. It should be a cracker. Should they meet again? Next race we're going to have a look at, we're going to step away from Goodwood as we reach the weekends and go to Friday night at Newmarket. So often the well, the beginnings of great careers. It can be at the July course this time of year. Very often they can be representing the boys in blue, more on which in a moment. Right, let's have a look at the time index for the night. Well, it was a pretty even spread, just about. The time we're about to have a look at, 6.05 for race 3, the 6 furlong 2-year-old race. It comes out as just about the second best on the night, an even looking spread. It was won by Shadow of Light, and we'll have a look at where he featured in the betting. Well, he was 8 to 11. Realign 3 to 1. We're going to talk about him. Eliam 4 to 1. But it is going to be a case that I'm going to focus on the first 2 here. Let's talk about throughout the race, the winner before we come to Realign, who's run a very good race. Shadow of Light's come out of 6 under Harry Bentley. Welcome back. Good to have him back in recent times. Charlie Appleby, the winning trainer. He's got history in this race, which we'll talk about in time. Well, Shadow of Light came into this having won when 6 to 5 on favourite at Yarmouth on debut. And today, or this day, he's given £7 and upwards to his rivals. The market expects he's gone off 8 to 11 again, jumps out absolutely fine. And there are big entries down the line. What he's done through the race, well, the reasonable time we talked about, the time index score was fine. He showed, even with a penalty to give, as they came up the centre of the track, he's got good pace at key parts of the race. He's got 11.05, 11.26, 12.51 through the final few furlongs. I think he's done perfectly well here, and I think it is just the beginnings of what could be a very good sprinting career. Charlie Appleby, his last 2 winners of this race, take note of this, because he won it with Lazuli a couple of years ago. He went on to win multiple group and listed races globally, and he won it 2 years ago with a horse called Noble Star, who went on to win the Gimcrack next time. Now this fella, as he begins to lengthen and quicken away from his rival Shadow of Light, this half-sibling of the high-class racehorse, now very useful sire Earthlight, has got all the right entries. He's got the Mill Reef, he's got the Gimcrack, both over 6. He's got the National Stakes, but when you think of Ruling Court and Ancient Truth, horses that Charlie Appleby could run in that, he's sport for choice. And my view is, this half-sibling of a very, very fast horse in Earthlight, this horse has got a load of speed. We've seen that. He's given weight to potentially a very good rival, and with the likes of a Gimcrack and potentially a Mill Reef, I'd want to see him as a sprinter. I think he's very good, and Shadow of Light is already towards the top of the market for next year's Commonwealth Cup. That's a long time away. Now let's talk about the second Realign in the Wathnam colours. I think if you like the winner, which I do, you've got to focus on Realign. You keep an eye on him. His price rose to 550,000 after breezing. Winning should be a formality. He's got a Gimcrack stage entry, and Realign, according to the Race IQ data and an assessment of the past sectionals, well, he's near enough matched the winner through the final 3 furlongs and needs to be taken very, very seriously. So keep an eye on the winner, but definitely keep an eye on Realign. He's won nice and easily, though, in the end. Shadow of Light, Charlie Appleby, the winning trainer, winning this race yet again. And when he wins it, he tends to win it with group class performers of the future. Let's hear what the jockey thought.
Look, I knew he obviously came with a bit of hope from his last run. Obviously, first time out at Yarmouth was an impressive victory, and naturally coming into today, he had a huge chance. And I thought he did everything right. He was probably left there a little earlier than ideal, but he got the job done.
And it's a fair effort under a £7 penalty as well.
Well, that's right. Obviously, with that penalty with 2-year-olds, it's never easy to carry against the others, so he's done well.
Well, I'd like to think that, a bit like Noble Star, Shadow of Light will be ending up in a Gimcrack. We're only a few weeks away. It might just be that they'll give him that little bit of time and could be thinking about a Mill Reef. But either way, it'll be Group Company next, and Realign, he'll be a formality as regards winning his maiden at some point soon. And who knows, before the end of the season, if you're optimistically thinking, their paths could cross once again. But 2 really nice horses filling first and second at Newmarket on Friday night. Right, moving on to Saturday, also at Newmarket though, not dissimilar to Shadow of Light in ways. It was an opportunity to see what Desert Flower could do second time out. The market expected plenty for Charlie Appleby's once raced, once victorious filly at a track she'd already won at. Let's have a look at the time index. She did win. See what she clocked up. Well, overall, on a day where the average was 5.93, these are the scores with Race IQ, the data. She's just above par. Now, the betting told a story. Desert Flower was 2 to 9, 1 to 5, 1 to 4 come the off, the biggest price she'd been on that show. And she duly proved her class under a penalty. Let's have a look back at the performance that was. If you didn't get to see this on Saturday, I think it's fair to say you're going to be watching a filly we're going to be learning an awful lot more about. She is very, very good indeed, Desert Flower, or will be. She's won at 1 to 4 under Billy Loughnane for trailer Charlie Appleby. Blindfolds off. Out of 3, she beats Dash of Azure, who I think will stay. And we got to see that horse out of 4. Didn't get to run on that intended first start at the end of June. And Hot Like Me out of stall 1. Right, let's take it through the race. Nothing particularly clock-shattering in the context of things. This falls-on filly who'd won at the course back on the 13th of July Cup Day, in a race that Charlie Appleby had a good roll of honour in. And on the day when mooted, would she go for a Sweet Solera, which you'll see live on Racing TV this coming weekend? Well, he said, no, we've got another one for that one. And they're looking at the May Hill. So what he's done here, to my mind, is got her some valuable experience, which can't hurt, another outing on the track, and another really polished performance. I don't think she's had to step forward, if at all, even though she's defied a penalty this day, to step forward from run 1. Through the final few furlongs, she's gone 10.79, 11.53. Those last couple of furlongs were very, very good indeed. The winner showing a finishing speed percentage against the grain of the race, coming in at just under 110%. And we've seen as well, she can hit a very fast top speed. She's got a lot of power. There you go, 41.75 miles per hour, and she's only been pushed out by Billy Loughnane. And when you consider that nothing else in the race could even touch 41, no wonder she's accelerated away from him and got and won like that. If she's going to go to a May Hill, she's going to be a leading player for that. It might just be that she's going to be in a fillies mile as well come the end of the year. Desert Flower, I rate with the utmost respect. I think she's very, very stacked full of potential. She has brilliant blood. Her damn promising run won a number of group races out at Meydan for trainer Saïd Bin Surur, and her half-sibling Ablan this month last year won the Solaria Stakes. So keep in mind what she's doing at 2, but there's going to be big plans at 3. She's shown a really good turn of foot. The clock, the sectionals show that. She's 16 to 1 already for next year's 1,000 guineas. And it wouldn't surprise me if come next May, we're a long way away from that, she's maybe won a classic trial en route. It's a long way off, but I think they can dream big with this really nice filly. I liked her on debut. I like her even more now. And this, to me, was just another step along the education, allowing her to express herself on home soil, showing good speed, good splits in the race, and surely big race targets are going to be next. Let's hear from the trainer's representative.
Yeah, no, she did it nicely. As you say, I'm not quite sure what it beat, not being rude to the others, but no, she's done everything right. She was very professional, travelled away nicely, and Billy just let her slide away, and yeah, she's done it very smoothly, so no, couldn't ask for more.
Talking about professionalism, in the paddock, she was lovely and relaxed. She really took it all in her stride, 2 handlers, but was walking around nice and steady. In the stalls, I see her blind and her own handler, but she seemed to take that all nicely enough as well. Yeah, no, she did, to be honest, the problem was she wasn't coming out early doors, so it was the guys down there have done a great job and spent a bit of time with her, so that's all it is, just to try and get her to jump, and it seems to work, so yeah.
There we go then, Desert Flower. We learned a little bit more about her today, or on that day, that Saturday. Very much looking forward to seeing where next, whether it might be a May Hill, whether they could stick close to home and think about perhaps a Rockfell, or indeed, who knows, a fillies mile. But I think she's very, very good indeed. Desert Flower it is, who was one of the stars on Saturday. She wasn't a punting opportunity, but she might be down the line. Right, let's go back to Goodwood Saturday as we work our way towards the back end of the week and take a look at the great cavalry charge that is the Coral Stewards Cup. Time index, that's the first thing we'll have a look at. Right, on the day, the average 5.23, it came in nearly a point above average. It came in second best on the scores. Right, betting for the big betting race of the day. Purasangwe was well back, 9-2. Dark Trooper, 13-2. Billy Joe, we'll be talking about that horse, 13-2. But your winner is not on the page. That was Get It, who went in at 40-1. From the start, here's your stalls, and this is going to be the most determining factor once again that we talk about. The winners come out of 28. The second Apollo 1 had a 27, the highest 2. Billy Joe, we're about to see him in a few moments' time, but have a look at the break speed. Get It, the fastest out of the stalls, got to that rail and fired in the fastest first furlong as well. And from that point onwards, he had a very, very advantageous position. That's just the way that the race has played out. Billy Joe will highlight for you in a few moments' time. Well, that horse has come out of 4. And I did want to say as well that Mustab Shear, the 4th out of 24, Cover Up, the 5th out of 26, Stripe Red, the 6th out of 20. But all the while, you can see Get It leading Apollo 1, cannoning down towards that near side. And Get It under a good ride from Pat Cosgrave on a horse who likes downhill tracks. We'd seen that at Epsom earlier on in the season and had won out in Bahrain in the winter. He was fastest through the first furlong, as I mentioned, 13.93, and the speed he has showed in the race and the economy of the way he's raced has won him the race. And it is not for the first time in recent times that high draws have dominated the Stewards' Cup. But over on that far side, we are going to have to major on Billy Joe, who has finished 3rd, and in so doing has finished against the grain. This was the point where his rider, admittedly Russell Ryan, received a 3-day ban for careless riding. The slight concertina that went back and shuffled out Lethal Levi, who'd showed good pace up the centre of the track. He in the end has finished in 3rd. But near side, it was fought out by Get It under that man, Pat Cosgrave, from Apollo 1, yet again 2nd in this race, yet again placed in a big handicap. But Billy Joe, what's he achieved in this race? Well, to my mind, he's achieved an awful lot. Mick Appleby, what a week he had, leading trainer on the week. He could have sealed it with success here. You can see the point where the 3rd wandered a bit there. He's the only horse in the field to clock a finishing speed percentage in the 3 figures, just over 100% in what was an evenly run contest. The race IQ figures, the par IQ figures, suggest he's the only one to finish in brackets fast. So when you look at the fact that everything else has been drawn in the 20s and the near side has been the place to be, Billy Joe, for a man in Mick Appleby who'd had 4 winners at that point, I think he can feel unlucky not to have had the 5th. But it is a super training performance by George Baker, trainer of Get It, who burst down that near side from stall 28, and well ridden by Pat Cosgrave.
It was pretty straightforward for me. I was delighted when I got drawn 28-28. He's a horse that likes to get on with it for the first furlong. You're a bit of a passenger, and then you rein him back a little bit, and you sort of ride a race after a furlong. And I would have done that really. You know, he's only one side that could come at me, and I got it pretty comfortable for the first quarter of the race. But then we got racing a long way down, and it was a pain to hang on to it. You know, I didn't want to go and set up for anyone else because he really suits sort of downhill free-wheeling tracks over 6 furlongs. It's sort of like he's a little bit of a spring when you hang on to him, and you can fill up as long as you can, and when you let him go, he goes quick, and then he can free-wheel home, and it worked out perfect today.
And actually, anyone who was there, this moment, I'm sure it'll live plenty long in the memory. Local man George Baker, local connections as well. And that was a huge, as Mark Tracy walking in the horse, a huge moment, a huge round of applause as well, the like of which you don't always see at Goodwood or anywhere, actually. Get It, potentially a Portland, something like that, at the Ledger meeting. That'll be on the agenda. But Billy Joe in those cheap pieces for the first time, running for the 3rd time in a week. They're going to think of what might have been. I'm sure he's going to be so popular in plenty of handicap bet lists for the next month or 2. Billy Joe has run a stormer, but just couldn't live with that pace and the place to be down on that near side as stalls 28 and 27 were the first 2 home in the Stewards' Cup. We're coming to the end of the verdict. Thank you very much for watching principally the week that was. A look at some of the performances at Goodwood, leaving out the likes of notable speech, opera singer Kyprios and so, who all starred on the week, some of the big performers, but I wanted to look slightly elsewhere from some of those. I did enjoy Newmarket as well, Shadow of Light and Desert Flower. They're big performers of the future, but I think certainly the race of the week for me, and the race that has dominated the verdict this week to my mind, that of the King George at Goodwood, as Big Evs beat his old rival Asphora, and it teases up perfectly for a few weeks' time in the Coolmore Nunthorpe at York. Loads to look forward to. Thank you very much for watching the verdict. Have a great week.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.